rejection. It's the one word that can send shivers down anyone's spine, especially when it comes to dating. No one likes being turned down, ignored, or ghosted. But here's the reality. Rejection is part of the game, and how you handle it can make all the difference. So, today we're diving deep into how to navigate dating rejection like a pro and come out stronger, more confident, and maybe even ready for the next chapter. If you've ever felt the sting of rejection, this one's for you. First things first, rejection happens to everyone. Yes, everyone. It's easy to think you're the only one who's ever been left on read or had a date fizzle out before it even began, but in reality, it's universal. Even the most charming, confident people out there have been rejected at some point. In fact, it's often those very experiences that help them grow into the people they are today. So, rule number 1, don't take it personally. Here's a little psychological secret. Rejection is rarely about you. Think about it. Every person you meet is living in their own world, dealing with their own struggles, insecurities, and distractions. Sometimes, people reject others not because of what you said or did, but because they're just not in the right space for a relationship, or maybe they're dealing with their own issues. It could be as simple as bad timing. Recognizing that rejection often has nothing to do with you personally is the first step in bouncing back quickly. Now, that's not to say rejection doesn't sting. Let's be real, it hurts. But the trick isn't to avoid the pain, it's about managing it. Think of rejection like a muscle you need to strengthen. The more you face it, the more resilient you become. This doesn't mean you should go out looking for rejection. Please don't do that. But when it does happen, don't shy away from it. Accept it for what it is, a temporary setback, not a defining moment. Let's talk about mindset. When you're rejected, it's natural for your brain to start playing tricks on you. Maybe you think, I'm not attractive enough or I'll never find anyone. Stop right there. These are just stories your mind is telling you, and they're not based on reality. The truth is, rejection is a form of redirection. Think of it like this. You're being steered away from someone who wasn't right for you, and towards someone who will appreciate you for who you are. That's a much better way to look at it, isn't it? Here's another important point. Don't let rejection define your self-worth. Too often, we tie our value to what other people think of us. But you are not the sum of someone else's opinion. Whether someone chooses to date you or not says more about them and their preferences than it does about your worth. The people who matter will see your value, and they'll stick around. Rejection doesn't mean you're lacking anything. It just means you weren't the right fit for that particular person, and that's okay. Let's shift gears for a second and talk about practical ways to handle rejection in the moment. What do you do when someone says, I'm not interested, or doesn't text back after what you thought was a great date? First off, resist the urge to respond emotionally. It's tempting to fire off a message demanding an explanation, or trying to win them over. But trust me, this only leads to more frustration. Instead, take a step back, take a deep breath, and let it go. Now, I get it. Letting it go is easier said than done. But one of the best ways to do this is to shift your focus. Instead of dwelling on the person who rejected you, invest that energy back into yourself. Hit the gym, pick up a new hobby, or spend time with friends who lift you up. Not only does this help take your mind off the rejection, but it also reinforces your sense of self-worth. You're reminding yourself that your happiness doesn't depend on someone else's approval. Here's a crucial lesson. Rejection is often an opportunity for growth. Think of it as feedback, not failure. Sometimes, rejection can be a chance to reflect. Was there something you could have done differently? Did you learn something about yourself through the process? Use rejection as a tool to refine your approach to dating and relationships. It's not about changing who you are, but about evolving and becoming more aligned with what you truly want in a partner. Now, let's address something that happens all too often in modern dating: ghosting. We've all been there. One minute you're having a great conversation, the next minute radio silence. Ghosting can feel brutal because it leaves you without closure. But here's a truth bomb. If someone ghosts you, they're not worth your time. Period. It's a reflection of their maturity, not your desirability. So, what do? Move on. Don't waste time analyzing why they disappeared. Focus on people who respect your time and communicate openly. Here's another key point. Don't internalize the rejection. What I mean by that is, don't let one person's no affect how you see yourself. There's a tendency to generalize rejection and think, if this person doesn't want me, no one will. That's a cognitive trap. The reality is, dating is a numbers game. You're not going to be compatible with everyone, and that's a good thing. It's about finding someone who's the right fit for you, not someone who just happens to say yes. Speaking of cognitive traps, let's talk about comparison. One of the worst things you can do after being rejected is compare yourself to others. You might look at someone else and think, they always get dates, or why does everything seem to work out for them? But comparing your journey to someone else's is a fast track to feeling worse. You're on your own path with your own timing. Focus on what you bring to the table and trust that the right person will recognize it when the time is right. Another powerful tool for dealing with rejection is humor. It sounds counterintuitive, but learning to laugh at the situation can actually help you move on faster. Rejection is just one of those awkward human experiences we all go through. If you can find the humor in it, you take away its power. The next time you get rejected, instead of wallowing, try reframing the experience with a bit of levity. You might just find that the sting doesn't feel as sharp. Lastly, don't let rejection make you cynical. It's easy to get jaded after a few rejections and think dating sucks or all relationships are doomed to fail. But that's just negativity talking. The truth is, rejection is a part of life, and it's a part of dating. Instead of letting it close you off, use it as fuel to keep going. Each rejection brings you one step closer to finding someone who's truly compatible with you. So, how do you handle rejection like a pro? You recognize that it's a normal, inevitable part of the process. You don't take it personally. You shift your focus back to yourself, and you keep your eyes on the bigger picture. Rejection is not the end. It's just a step on the journey. If this information helped you in your situation, please subscribe and feel free to leave a comment. Also, check out my other videos for more dating and relationship tips.